Hello everyone. We have been talking about various resampling methods. We are yet to see pros and cons of those methods. But I thought that before that we would discuss one of the basic classification and regression techniques, that is k nearest neighbor classification and regression. Why? Because that would help us, in understanding the resampling things better. So if we want to play around, we can use resampling techniques to play around this method. This technique is based on one of the basic principles of statistics, that is Bayes theorem. We can develop a classifier using Bayes theorem. Now what is the Bayes theorem? All of you have studied Bayes theorem in BSc. So what does Bayes theorem do? Bayes theorem mainly tries to reverse probabilities in some sense. How reverse probabilities? So you have, say, probability of A given B, and you want to use it to compute probability of B given A. Then Bayes theorem gives you a way of doing that. So in that sense, Bayes theorem can be used to reverse the probabilities. A typical example of Bayes theorem. So one of the common examples that is given in the machine learning setup is classification of emails. So classification of emails can be easily done using Bayes theorem. What do I mean by classification of emails? So let us start with the very basic classification: junk email or spam email and useful or regular email. Okay, so any email can be categorized in one of these two classes, junk or spam, and useful. So you know that when we open an inbox, some of our emails are automatically transferred to junk and some of our emails are in the useful category. Nowadays the filter is quite accurate, but in the earlier days, sometimes useful emails used to end up in junk or junk emails used to end up in the proper inbox. In fact, even today, if you have noticed, sometimes if you mark a useful email as spam, if you feel that a particular email is spam, there is an option in Gmail which says mark as spam. So you have an option to mark an email as spam. Similarly, you have an option to move a junk email back to your inbox. Supposedly junk email back to your inbox. So why does this happen and how does this happen? Of course, Google doesn't have enough engineers who can read all the emails and classify them as junk or useful. It's not practically possible, and of course it would be a violation of privacy also. Then how does this happen? So one of the simplest ways in which we can understand this process is via Bayes theorem. So how? What I am interested in is, given a new email, I am interested in understanding what is the probability of this email being spam. Okay. So given a new email means what? Given basically the text of that email. So given text of a new email, if I can compute probability of that email being spam, and if that probability turns out to be close to 1, then we can definitely say that okay, this email is most likely spam email. On the other hand, that means that probability of that email being useful given the text is close to 0, because these two are complementary probabilities, right? So I want to compute something like this. So how does Bayes theorem come in picture? You know, Bayes theorem is useful when your sample space can be divided into partition. So suppose my partition is something like this. So this is, say, useful emails and these are spam emails. Okay, I have not taken 50-50 partition because, as you might be knowing, spam emails are much larger in number than useful emails. Okay, so suppose I have something like this. Let us say I want to generate now my own spam filter. How would it work? So maybe I take a random sample of, say, 10,000 emails from my own inbox. Okay, suppose I have taken random sample of 10,000 emails from my own inbox, and maybe it turns out that out of these 10,000, 9,000 emails are actually spam emails and 1000 emails are suppose useful emails. Okay, suppose. So what does it mean? It means that as far as my inbox is concerned, prior probability of an email being spam is 9000 upon 10,000. Okay, so it is 0.9, and prior probability of an email being useful would be 1 minus this, so it would be 0.1. Okay, now I know these prior probabilities. What else I know? I know that I want to use the email text. Now when I say email text, of course I can't expect computer to understand the meaning and then decide whether the particular email is spam or useful. So there can be some words or some keywords or some important phrases which can give me some hint. Okay, for example, a typical word that is found in spam emails is lottery or inheritance. Sometimes you get emails saying, claiming that okay, the person has received large inheritance and he needs your help to move that money abroad, something like that. So lottery, inheritance, or in fact win a prize, these are typical terms or phrases found in spam emails. Okay, so what I can do is, for the sake of simplicity, let me assume that I want to focus only on one word, that is lottery. So what I can do, given this prior knowledge about which emails are spam and which emails are useful, I can compute probability of the word lottery given that the email is spam. How do I compute this? Probability of spam emails containing the word lottery and upon marginal probability of spam emails, right? Conditional probability equation I am writing. So how would I do this? Basically I would see out of 9000 spam emails, how many emails contain the word lottery. So suppose 5000 spam emails had the word lottery. So this 5 by 9 becomes my conditional probability of the word lottery occurring given that the email is spam. Now same computation I have to do for genuine email. So probability of the word lottery occurring in an email given that the email is genuine or useful. So I would have number of useful emails here, and you know, in normal conversations the word lottery is going to occur much less. So let us say it occurs twice only. So this 2 by 1000 becomes my probability. So 0.002 becomes my probability of the word lottery being present in useful emails. Now finally what I want is, suppose it turns out that a new email that I have received has the word lottery. Then I can compute probability of that email being spam given that it contains the word lottery. How do I compute this? This is where Bayes theorem comes in picture. So I would use probability of lottery given spam into probability of spam, marginal probability of spam, upon this same probability, entire numerator, okay, plus probability of lottery given genuine email into marginal probability of an email being genuine. So now I know everything on right hand side, correct? So probability of lottery given spam I know is 5 by 9. This probability I know is 0.9 upon 5 by 9 into 0.9 plus 0.002 into 0.1. So if I compute this probability, whatever number I get is the number that I am interested in. And if this number is close to 1, then we would say that send that email to spam folder. Okay. Hence, sometimes, so it's actually a probabilistic decision. Hence, sometimes it is possible that a genuine email may end up in spam folder or a spam email may end up in genuine folder. So this I explained only on the basis of one person's inbox consisting of 10,000 emails. But every day Gmail or Google is going to handle many emails. So of course their database goes on improving. As the corpus goes on improving, these probabilities, estimates of these probabilities become more and more accurate. After all, these are estimates based on the given corpus or given data set. So these estimates become more and more accurate, and as a result the accuracy of the classifier increases. So saying that if probability of lottery given text, sorry, so if probability of an email being spam given its text, here we focused only on one word, but of course we can use many such phrases and improve our estimate further. So if this probability is greater than a certain threshold, then we would categorize this as spam, and if this probability is less than certain threshold, then we would categorize it as useful. Okay, so this becomes what is known as a Bayes classifier. Okay, so Bayes classifier basically does classification using Bayes theorem, and the classifier that we are going to see today, k-means classifier, is actually based on this similar idea. Okay, so the basic principle of k-means is based on Bayes classifier, and that is the reason why it performs quite well. Okay, so what do we do in k-means classification? So first let us focus on the classification part, then we will go to regression. So k nearest neighbors classification, k nearest neighbor classifier. This is the first thing that we want to try. So as you can see the name, what are the important keywords here? First of all, we are going to talk about classification. Classification means my response is going to be categorical, and the classification would be done based on k nearest neighbors. Okay, data on k nearest neighbors. Okay. What do I mean by neighbors? We have learnt distance functions in multivariate analysis as well as in real analysis. We have learned the concept of distance function. So we would be using that concept here. Suppose I have observation 1, observation 2 up to observation n. These observations can either be univariate or multivariate. We don't have to bother about that. Using these observations, I can compute distance of each observation from its neighbor. So basically I can compute a distance matrix where distance O1 O1, O1 O2 up to O1 ON. Second row is O2 O1, then O2 O2 up to O2 ON, and so on. Last row would be distance of ON with O1, ON O2 and ON ON. Okay. The usual properties of distance matrix that we saw in cluster analysis would hold. The diagonal entries would always be 0, and off diagonal entries can be greater than or equal to 0. Have to be greater than or equal to 0, and the matrix has to be symmetric. So now what I am going to do, let us focus only on O1. In each observation I am going to have response variable. Okay. So while computing the distance, we are not going to use response variable. So this distance is based only on the predictor variables. Okay, you have to remember this. We are not going to use use the response variable. We are going to use only the predictor variables to compute this distance. So the distance is computed only on the basis of predictor variables. The response variable is kept aside. Let me fix some k. So let me take say k as 5. Generally k is taken odd number. We will see why. Now what I'll do is, if I want to compute y hat for the first observation, what I would do? I would first focus on distance of the first observation with all the other observations, that is first row of my distance matrix. Now in this first row I know this entry is 0, so I'll ignore it, but from the remaining entries I would see which are the 5 lowest or smallest entries. Okay, why 5? Because I am taking k equal to 5. So basically I have to talk about k lowest distances. Suppose observation 2, observation 5, observation 18, observation 7 and observation 9. These 5 are the lowest distances. Then what we would do? We would check class of each of these observations. Let us assume that we are in the binary setup. That is, my y takes values only 0 and 1. And suppose O2 comes from 0 class, this also comes from 0 class, this comes from 1 class, this comes from 0 class and this comes from 1 class. Now what I know is, I have located k nearest neighbors of the first observation, and out of those k neighbors, 3 neighbors are from class 0 and 2 neighbors are from class 1. So majority of the neighbors are from class 0. Hence, in that case, I would put my y hat at 0. Is it clear what I am trying to do? So, let me explain the procedure again. Given any observation, first locate k nearest observations or k nearest neighbors. So, basically, compute distance of that observation from all the other observations and see which k observations are closest to it. Then check majority class for these k nearest neighbors. Check majority class for k nearest neighbors. So if we are in the binary setup and if we take k to be odd, then we would always get a majority class. There won't be any question of ties. That is the reason why generally in the binary setup k is taken as odd. Because if I take k is even, then it may happen that we get equal number of neighbors in either class. So we'll have to choose randomly in such a scenario. Okay. Of course, if I have more than one class, then so if I have 3 classes, then ideally I should take k which is not a multiple of 3. But still there can be a two-way tie. Okay, it need not be a three-way tie, but there can still be a two-way tie. Okay, so this is the principle of k nearest neighbor classification. Now, what are some of the important points here? See, when I am talking of training data, ideally I shouldn't ignore this 0, because we know that in the training setup, I can have that observation itself in the data. So one of my neighbors would be always that observation itself. So if suppose this is the 5th largest, I would remove it and O1 would always be in picture. Okay. So when I am talking of training data, I should not leave that observation out. So one of the neighbors is always that observation. What happens because of it? One important thing is, if I talk about say one nearest neighbor, then I will always get y as y hat, because every observation would be nearest neighbor of itself. Okay, if I want to find only one nearest neighbor and if I am in the training set, so every observation would be closest to it itself. So it would be the nearest neighbor of itself. As a result, I would always get y equal to y hat. Hence, in one nearest neighbor scenario, training error is always 0. Okay, this is an important point. Why training error is 0 in one nearest neighbor setup. Now, how do I compute for test observation? For test observation, we have to locate k nearest neighbors from the training data. Because if we try to locate neighbors from the test data, we don't know their responses. So we have to restrict ourselves to nearest neighbors from the training data. Okay. As a result, test error need not be 0 even in one nearest neighbor setup. Okay. Let us try to solve one small example. We have seen cluster analysis of fruits, so let us take something similar. Okay. Suppose we want to cluster fruits into two groups. We don't know how the groups have been derived. So I have group indication, group 1, group 2, etc. and I have some variables on the basis of which possibly these groups have been created. The variables are, let us say, size. We are going to have 3 levels of size: small, medium, large. And then taste. We are going to have 2 tastes, sweet and sour. And let me take number of seeds. So either no seed, one seed, or multiple seed. Okay. So let me consider name of the fruit here. So generally people like to start with mango. Whenever I have given this example in class, people start with mango, then maybe apple, then maybe watermelon, orange, and let's say grape. So I have 5 observations in this is my training set. Okay, this is my training set. So mango, size is medium, taste is sweet, and seeds, number of seeds is 1. For apple, size is medium, taste is sweet, number of seeds is multiple. So let me say 2. 2 here means multiple, not necessarily 2. So this is for apple, this is for mango. For watermelon, size is large, taste is sweet, and seeds, number of seeds is again multiple. For orange, size is medium, taste, let us say sour, because it's a citric fruit, let me take sour taste, and number of seeds is again multiple. Grape, let us take seedless grapes, let us take sour taste. Grapes are sour for the fox, so let us take that, and the size is small. Okay. And let us suppose that these are in group 1, these are in group 2, and this is in group 1. Okay, right now I am arbitrarily assigning groups. Now on the basis of this training set, suppose I want to first do 3 nearest neighbor classifier for each observation. Okay, so first I'll need to compute distance matrix. So I have 5 fruits, so mango, apple, watermelon, orange, grape. Mango, apple, watermelon, orange, grape. These distances are going to be 0. Mango to apple, what is the distance? And we are going to use binary distance, trivial distance, so 0 and 1. So the distance is 0 if the 2 observations are equal, and the distance is 1 if they are unequal. So I have 0 here. I have 0, 0, 0. I have 0, 0 and 1. So the distance between mango and apple is 1. Okay. Then mango and watermelon. So I would have 1, 0, 1. So distance is 2. Mango and orange, I'll have medium. So 0, 1 and 1. So the distance is 2. And mango and grape, 1, 1, 1. So the distance is 3. Okay, so let me compute this 1, 2, 2, 3. Now distance of apple from others. So apple to watermelon is 1, 0, 0. So apple to watermelon distance is 1. Orange, apple to orange. So this is 0, 1 and 0. So basically 1. And then apple to grape. Apple to grape would be 1, 1, 1. So 3. Okay, so 0, 1, 1, 3. Now distance of watermelon from orange and grape. So watermelon to orange 1, then 1 and 0. So 2. Watermelon to grape would be 1, 1, 1. So 3. So this is 2 and 3. And then orange to grape. So this is 1, 0, 1. So 2. Okay, this is my distance matrix. Let me copy this distance matrix so that it is, slightly better visible. So mango, apple, watermelon, orange and grape. So mango, apple, watermelon, orange, grape. So I have 0, 1, 2, 2, 3. Then 1, 0, 1, 1, 3, 2, 1, 0, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 0, 2 and 3, 3, 3, 2, 0. Okay. Now I have to do 3 nearest neighbor classification on this. So for each of these fruits, mango, apple, watermelon, orange, grape, I have to first locate 3 nearest neighbors and then on the basis of those neighbors I have to compute y hat. Let me note down their y here so that it's easier for us to compare. So y is 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. Okay, given y is 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. Okay. So for mango, what are the nearest neighbors? We know for every observation, one of the nearest neighbor is going to be itself. So mango, apple, watermelon, orange, grape. The first nearest neighbor is always going to be the observation itself. Second and third we have to choose. So for mango, watermelon and orange are apple, watermelon, orange. This is the order. So I can choose apple as second because it is just slightly more distance than itself. And now I have choice watermelon or orange. So let me take watermelon. Yeah, I have to take randomly. So let me take watermelon. For apple, actually mango, watermelon, orange. All three are at the same distance. So let me take mango and orange. Okay. Then for watermelon, nearest is apple. Okay. And the next again orange and mango is a tie. So let me take mango. For orange, nearest is again apple and there is a tie among all the three. So let me take grape. And for grape, nearest is orange and other three there is a tie. So let me take mango. Okay. Okay, so now so I have to check class of each of these three and then majority class would be my y hat. So class of mango is 1, class of apple is 1 and class of watermelon is 2. So the majority class is 1, the prediction is 1. Okay. Now class of apple is 1, class of mango is 1, class of orange is 2. So again majority is 1. So the prediction is 1. Class of watermelon itself is 2, class of apple is 1 and class of mango is also 1. So the prediction is 1. Class of orange is 2, apple is 1 and grape is 1. So the prediction is 1. And class of grape is 1, orange 2, mango 1. So the prediction is 1. So you can see here everything got predicted as class 1 in 3 nearest neighbor method, and these are the misclassified observations. So watermelon is misclassified because original class is 2, it got predicted as 1, and orange also got misclassified because original class is 2 and it got predicted as 1. So this is how the training part of the k-nearest classification would work. I have to go to the test part. So let me take a new observation. So let us say which observation do you want? Which fruit do you want? So let me take guava. So in guava, size is going to be medium. Then taste is going to be, let us take sour because it's, again more of a sour side. And then number of seeds is going to be multiple, so 2. So now I have to take distance of guava from each of the original observations and then decide which are the 3 nearest neighbors. So let me write down here my new observation is medium size, sour and 2 seeds. So distance from each of these, let me write here. So distance of guava. So for mango, size is same, taste is different, seeds is different. So distance would be 2. For apple, size is same, taste is different, seeds is same. So the distance would be 1. For watermelon, size is different, taste is different, but the seeds is same. So 2. For orange, size is same, taste is same and seeds is also same. So the distance is 0. And for grape, size is different, taste is same, seed is different. So the distance is 2. Okay. So what are the nearest neighbors? Orange, of course, then apple, and third one we have a tie. So let me pick grape. So now I have to see classes of these 3. So 1, 2, 1. So the majority class becomes 1 and hence the prediction for guava would be class 1. Okay. This is how the test business work, means classification for a test observation in k-nearest neighbor setup. Is everyone clear with k-nearest neighbor classification? Okay. We will see pros and cons of this method later, but as you can see, it mainly depends on Bayes theorem. How? You know some sort of you are computing some sort of posterior probability of this observation based on given data points. So you compute probability of each class given the neighbors and you assign that observation to the majority class. Okay. So this is k-nearest neighbor classification. Now let me describe similarly how k-nearest neighbor regression would work. So k-nearest neighbor regression. In classification we went for a majority class. Only that thing has to change. Everything else will remain same. So what I'll do first is locate k nearest neighbors of the observations. Locate k nearest neighbors of the given observation, and then here I can't take majority class because I am now not in the classification setup. So I will have continuous response y. So compute average of the responses of these k observation. Average of the responses of these k observations. And that becomes your y hat. Okay. Let me take a simple linear regression example. So suppose I am recording some x and y. So x is say 1, 2, 2, 4, 1. And y is 2, 3, 4, 9, 3. Okay, these are suppose my y values. And let us again go for 3 nearest neighbor. So what happens in the 3 nearest neighbor setup here? Because now I have to focus on distance based only on the predictor variables. So now computing distances is very easy. So for this, let me call this O1, O2, O3, O4, O5. So for O1, let me locate 3 nearest neighbors. Of course, the first neighbor is O1 itself. Second neighbor is O5 because it is near. And third can be either O2 or O3. So let me take O2. Okay. Then for every observation in the training data, the first nearest neighbor is going to be itself. We have to worry about only second and third. So for O2, next nearest is O3. And then I have a choice O1 or O5. So let me go with O5. For O3, nearest is O2. And again I have a choice. So let me go with O1. For O4, nearest are O3 and O2. And for O5, nearest is O1, of course after removing itself. And then I have a choice, so let me go with O2. Okay. So what I have to do now? Now I have to check responses of each of these. So for O1, response is 2. For O5, it is 3. And for O2, it is 3. So my prediction, my y hat, is going to be average of these 3 responses. So 3 plus 3 plus 2. So it's going to be 8 by 3. Then for O2 prediction is 3. For O3 prediction is 4. 9. And for O5 prediction is 3. So average is going to be 5. Then for O3 prediction is 4. For O2 it is 3. O1 it is 2. So the average is 3. For O4 prediction is 9. For O3 it is 4. And for O2 it is 3. So it would be 16 by 3. Whatever it is. Then for O5 prediction is 3. For O1 it is 2. And for O2 it is 3. So average is going to be again 8 by 3. So these are my y hats for the training data. You can see easily that even in the k nearest neighbor regression setup, training error would be 0 if you are in the 1 nearest neighbor setup. Okay. And for a new observation, how do you proceed? So suppose I get new observation as say x equal to 3. Then I locate the neighbors of x equal to 3. So they are O2, O3 and O4. So I have to take response of O2, response of O3, response of O4 and then average of these 3. So it turns out to be 16 by 3. Okay, so for new observation, so that is for the test data, my prediction would work in this way. Is it okay? So this is k nearest neighbor regression. So I hope both the things are clear to you, how k nearest neighbor classification works and how k nearest neighbor regression works. Okay. Now your job is to try and write a code for this. Okay. So try and write code for k nearest neighbor classification. You can use the distance matrix command, dist command, that is fine. So k nearest neighbor classification. Perhaps you can try it on iris data, and then k nearest neighbor regression. For this, I would suggest take some data set from ISLR. In R there is a library called ISLR, so take some data where response variable is continuous and try k nearest neighbor regression on it. Okay, so this is your homework for today. We are yet to discuss pros and cons of k nearest neighbor methods. As you might have seen, the method is quite intuitive. Okay, I mean, understanding the method is not difficult because it's quite intuitive. So of course this is one of the biggest pros, that it's intuitive, but there are some problems, some cons. We will discuss those in the next lecture. Meanwhile, do try to solve a couple of examples of this manually, as well as try writing a code in R. Okay, thank you.